One other announcement I want to bring up too is Cody's Bait and Tackle in Warsaw, Missouri will now be carrying my jigs. So if you're in his shop or if you're in the Warsaw area, make sure you stop by and check on them. If there's something specific you want in his shop, a certain color you want me to tie, let Cody know, let me know, and I will make sure we get them in his store. Warsaw, Missouri, Cody's Bait and Tackle. Stop and check him out. He will have my jigs and maybe carrying whatever y'all request. Hats, shirts, hoodies, stickers, more jigs. Let me know, let Cody know, and we'll be glad to help you and hook you up. So this is going to be the jig we're going to tie today. This is a 1/32 ounce number 8 sickle hook tied with natural squirrel tail, a little bit of flash in it, some UV resin. I'm going to go over how my UV resin box works. I get a lot of requests on UV. I get a lot of questions on UV. A lot of people saying their UV won't harden. They're not sure about the light, what the light is, what it's supposed to. I'm going to kind of walk you through it. I'm no expert on the UV, but I know so far what's worked for me, and I'm going to try to pass that on and try to explain it the best I can. I hope you can get out of it what I got out of the UV resin, because it's changed the way I tie jigs. It makes them look better, neater, cleaner, stronger. They last longer. And I will do my best to answer any questions you got about the UV light. So if you got any questions, let me know. If you know a better way, send it in a comment. Let me know how your UV resin has worked, how it hasn't worked. Leave a comment on that. Let me know. I will try everything I can to help you out with the UV resin. You just got to let me know what you're experiencing, and maybe we can figure out something better. We can walk through the process of how I do it a little bit better. But leave a comment, let me know, hit the like, share, thumbs up. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. But let's go, let's get ready to tie this crappie jig. All right, so we got it in the vise. So like I said, it's a 1/32 ounce, number 8 sickle hook in the vise, 32nd ounce. We're gonna coat it first with a little Sally Hansen's, like I always do. Every jig, I always do this to my base on the shank of the hook. We're just gonna brush a little bit on it, just enough to keep everything from twisting and rolling. We are going to be tying this with, don't have a number on it. This is an old spool of thread. It's kind of a pinkish orange kind of color. I'm guessing it's probably like a 140 denier by the feel of it. We're gonna put one good wrap all the way down, right up to the first bend in that sickle hook, and then we're gonna come back up. We are going to stop right there. We're going to pull it out. We're going to trim off our tag end. As soon as I get my scissors off the table here. All right, so let's trim that off. And we are using all natural, real squirrel tail. We're going to pull out, and not a whole lot, but enough we're going to be able to tie a jig with, make it come out looking half decent. Pinch about that big. And I want for sure to where all the different colors are in this jig. So when I say all the different colors, I mean we're going to have the gray and the black, which is actually almost kind of a brown color. We're going to pull out all our little short hairs, get it all straightened out, and that's what our tail is going to look like. We are going to push it down to where it's kind of like an oval shape, and we're going to push it all the way down over top of the hook, and I'm just going to let it work its way completely over, and then we're going to start tying it down. We're going to get a good, nice, tight bite on it. We're not going to be using chenille in this jig. We're going to be using the thread. It's kind of like our chenille, and then we're going to be putting a good heavy coat of UV resin over top of it. But we're going to two-tone this, so we're going to get that to where it's kind of even front to back, where it's one nice even flow right through there. And we're going to be putting in some silver flash. So that get off a good little pinch, and we're not going to go real heavy with the flash, just enough, because it's kind of really, you know, with those colors, the white in the back end of that tail, it's going to make it kind of flashy anyway. But just, you know, 5 or 6 little strands right there, which is probably still a little bit more than what most people use when they over flash one, but I don't skimp on the flash very often. I usually make it pretty heavy, and for the people I sell them to, you know, I tell them all, if it's too much flash, just reach up in there with a pair of scissors and just cut it off. So we're gonna put a good, heavy, tight wrap all the way around that. keeping it all even. Get right here, we're going to do our whip finish on it. Two or three wraps, 2 knots, pop it off and cut that thread right there off right underneath the head and tag it. All right, so next I'm going to be using black, and this is some kind of cheap stuff I got off Amazon, but it's going to be fine to UV resin coat over. I can't really tell you too much more than I don't like it unless I UV resin coat over top of it. But we're just going to completely, like I said, we're two-toning the body. We're going to cut that excess off right there. And we're going to make sure we got all that orange underneath of it covered up pretty good. And we're going to kind of flare it up on the head of that jig. Okay, we got it there. We're going to do a whip finish on it. We're going to pop it out. We're going to cut that off. So as of right now, we've got a pretty cool looking little 2-tone jig with a little bit of flash in it, natural squirrel tail. We're going to get our UV resin and we're going to coat it, head, body and all. And we're going to brush it on kind of heavy on that body, and then we're going to push that drip all the way around. So we got it all nice and coated and even. And it'll actually cover up and coat just like there's no threads in it. It'll look like it's almost a painted body. Okay, once I got it to where it's all over top of it, I'm going to use my UV flashlight. And this is where I get a lot of questions at. If I'm using a UV box, why am I using a flashlight? Well, the flashlight will help set it up to where it's not going to drip. So if I'm hanging them up, vertically, up and down, I've already got it kind of hardened where I'm not going to end up with this big drip right here at the tip of that jig head. So this is just going to stiffen it up some, kind of set it up, and then we're going to hang it up in a UV box. We're going to get it to where it's nowhere near cured. It's not going to be cured until after I take it out of that box, but it's going to set up enough to where it's not going to drip. A few loose hairs in the tail of that. Set it up just like that. All right, so now we're going to switch it over and we're going to put it in that UV box, and I'm going to get the camera set up and set it over top of that UV box to kind of explain to you what we got. All right, so this is the setup on my UV box. I'm going to get some of these turned off. It's nothing really complicated. It's these lights that come off of Amazon. They're like $30 a piece. If you go to Amazon right now, they are actually on sale. And I got them spaced out. I got one mounted here stationary that don't move. It goes this way. I got another light that goes up this way, and this light here that's going to shine this way. Now what I do is I take my jigs and I hang them on this rack, one at a time as I'm tying. And then when I get them all tied up, this is the one I just tied just a few minutes ago. When I get them all tied up, I set them inside this box, and then I start turning the switch on. I got 2 lights wired together and one that's run independently off each other. The 3 lights work. It is not a miracle cure time. If you set them in this box and you hang them and you shut the lids and you let it build the heat up and you let the light do the work, you're looking at like maybe an hour before they are all pretty much set up and cured. This rack that comes from Dollar Tree or Dollar General will hold 100 jigs and keep them all spaced out pretty evenly. When I start turning all my lights on, all 3 of them on right now, and then I shut this lid, and this is just an old tackle box that's been gutted out on the inside, and I shut this lid and then close this lid up, it will build up some heat inside. Now, I think the heat actually helps cure the jigs. I really believe the heat helps some of the cure process. So with the guys that are having problems with your jigs curing, you're running into 2 issues. First issue is with the lights that you've got are not true UV lights, that you're looking at more like a black light. On Amazon, you will see it listed as a UV black light. If it's listed as UV black light, it is not a UV light, it is a black light. There is a big difference between UV and black lights. Black lights will not cure the UV resin. It has got to be a true UV light before it cures. No matter how long you hold it on there, it's not going to cure. The second problem is that there's different types of UV resin. There's a light formula and a thick formula. And I believe the one that I use, imagine that, it don't say, but it's got a curing time on the back of it. UV LED, 30 to 90 seconds. UV lamp, 37 watt, 2 to 4 minutes. Sunlight, 30 to 90 seconds. Sunlight on a cloudy day, 20 to 40 minutes. I do know if you put UV resin on your jigs and you hang them outside in the sunlight, less than 5 minutes and it is going to be rock hard. So a windowsill, someplace where the sun's going to hit it, and it don't matter how cold it is outside, if the sun is shining, there's enough UV coming through that will cure your UV resin. Like I said, this is what I use. Until some company gives me something else and tells me it works better and I can actually give it a try and prove that it works better, this is what I get. And I hate to say, the best I've found so far is, on the back it's all written in Chinese. But it works, and it works fast for me. I don't have a problem with it. It cures my jigs. These were ones I did a couple hours ago. They're cured to the touch. They're solid. It's hard. It's kind of got a clear look to it. It looks like a Jolly Rancher. But that's my UV setup. So you're talking, empty box, and it don't have to be a metal box. You can use the cardboard box lined inside with some kind of mirrors, some kind of aluminum foil. I would definitely overdo it on the lights. I would do 3 in an area that's as big as a old school tackle box. This one's got stickers on it from 1966 and 1969. It works. It's worked for me. It's not a miracle. It's going to cure everything in 30 seconds. You're looking at probably an hour or so inside this box before it's cured enough where you can use it. Possibly 2 hours. It just kind of depends on whether or not I got this top open. If I got this top closed, it's building up a heat, and I think the heat and the UV light both come together and help cure these jigs. So that's the best I could tell you with my UV box. It's not expensive. It's not hard. It's not overly complicated. Don't make it out to be that complicated. But it did take me a while to perfect it and find everything that I needed that makes these jigs cure right. All 3 of these lights can all be separate plug-ins. I had an electrician wire 2 of them together and had the third one just in case we needed the third one. Well, I just went ahead and threw the third one in, and it seems like it works. I got one pointing this way, one pointing up, and one pointing that direction. When I close the lid, it builds up a certain amount of heat, and I leave it like that for a couple hours, or actually until I get home from work. I put them in there in the mornings, and when I get off work, I open the box back up, I turn the lights off, and my jigs are cured. Like I said, it is not fast. It is not 30 seconds it's going to be done. It's just one of those things I tie before I go to work. When I get done around 1:30, 2 o'clock, I shut the lid on it. I go to work. I come home. I turn the lights off. I take my jigs out. Same way if you're going to paint jig heads. Load it up with a bunch of jig heads all at one time. Shut the lid. Do something else. Come back and take them all out. That's my UV box.